All right, so today I'm gonna do something a little different, something I've not normally done before. I actually have never done it. So it is way different. But I'm gonna take you through a process. I'm working on I guess a remake, redo, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna go through my process of how I go about, or how I am going to go about doing this track, this particular track. So it's not necessarily something. I'll tell you what I normally do and what I don't normally do. I guess we can go through it like that, or I'll just walk you through it. But either way, I had an artist ask me to work on a track similar to Silk. If you haven't heard it, you will hear it. I know for the younger generation, you may not have heard this, but people my age will know what this is. So I'll let you hear the part that I'm starting with. It's pretty much the chorus. So we'll go through that right now. And I do got it turned down a bit because it is very loud. So um, hopefully it's good volume for y'all. Matter of fact, I'm just... So initially when I did the track, I was listening for the chords because I said what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the most basic parts of it and then kind of build from there, because it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be to find the chords. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, bet, let me start there, and then I can build those extra instruments that you hear in the beginning part because it's broken down at that point. So I guess tip number one would be I would start with the majority of the instruments and listen to the things that the elements that you want to keep, the ones that you want to change, and then find the easiest one that you can. Well, the first thing you want to find is the key. So what I did was I went through and I messed around on my keys. I do play a little bit of keys, so this was a little bit easier for me, but there are methods where you can punch in. So if you find the bottom note, which is basically what I did, I played it though. I ended up playing it out and then I mapped it out after I played it. But the reason why I did that is because again, I kind of already, once I found that here, oh, I muted it. Found the bottom note. You see, we already almost there, like, and really just 8 notes. Boom, I had it. It was literally for me almost that quick, just because of the fact that I just listened to the tones after, messing with the keys for a while. And you can even go through and hear which one matches up with while you're playing, just... You hear how they start the sound? We can just start it. And that's a C major chord, actually. So it's the basic chord progression that you can pick up from that. You wouldn't know that, but just listening, it taking music theory and everything out, all I did was listen. I didn't even try to associate that, even though it's probably already kind of ingrained in there. But just to kind of give you like a basic take on it, just listen, use your ears and find a note. And so find your note where you start with. Found my next note, and so then I built my chords. And so that's how we got to this point. And for real, if you look at it, just from, again, if you're not playing it, if you're not going to play it, you can see the A, C, E chords. And so when I got that out, you can build it out. So if you look at this, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 0, 3, 7. If you know the number chart, you can use that as well to do a major chord. And so that's a way that people have done on YouTube to show how to kind of click in your notes and find those. So since I had my bottom notes, it would have been already in there. And so when I went through, I just kind of followed the mix of that string So this is how mine came out when I did this. Oh, sorry. That note shouldn't be in there. But if you listen to how mine sounds at this point and listen to how the song sounds. It sounds kind of like mine is more of a basic version of the chord. And so knowing that, now here comes a little bit of music theory. I thought to myself, what normally is the next step to take a chord from being a basic sounding chord to being more of a different tone of that chord progression? And so what I did was I took the middle note here of each note, which is what you see me move back, and I pushed them up an octave, and I'll show you how I did that. So I do Control Shift, and I just pick the middle note. It allows you to select multiple notes or whatever note you pick. I took the middle note from each, and if you mess up, you can just click back on it and take it off. Pick the middle note, and then I hit Control and up, and as you can see, it lined up with the other notes from this other instrument you'll see in a second. But now when you listen to it all together, and I'll let you hear that without the song. So it sounds a lot better when I transposed the middle note and moved it up an octave. It opened up the chords a lot more, and so it sounded more like what I was hearing when I heard what they were playing. And so I then wanted to see how it sounded with the string. Let me see how it sounds with the string. So of course, pull my flex up. I pull my slow string in because when I listen to it on this track, it's pretty much sustained. It's definitely underneath it, so just try to listen for it. All right, bet. So when I put my strings on, I just want to hear how they sounded. If it was kind of at a place where I felt like it was close to a great starting point for me. So let's check it out. Ooh, killing the CPU. But you get the drift as of for how we're gonna do that right now. I gotta fix that though. But it sounded pretty dope to me. Of course, them strings are probably too narrow, but I did make some changes in this area. I add a little darkness, a little tone, and I pushed the narrow all the way up. And so that's how we got that. Oh, and I also did adjust the low pass cutoff. So, since most likely this OBS and FL running together, my computer is just at that point, it's another one needed, but it's all good. We're gonna move past that, and we gotta work around. We're gonna render it in place, since I know I do like that. Oh, prior to me do that, I did want to show you something, because when I play chords with my Akai Fire, there is no velocity sensitivity on that. So what I always do, and I don't mind doing this, it's not a drawback for me. I do Alt R to randomize the velocity of the notes, and I will sometimes add the pan, because I feel like sometimes with a little bit of pan, if you look at how it's panning them down here in this area, it's kind of spreading them out a little bit. If you listen, let's listen. to me, it makes the note sound wider. So I like that. I do that. You don't have to. It's up to you. Just something I do. I have my strings set. I like them like that. And now, excuse me, what I kind of feel like is, or what my mindset was up to the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna start recording this and let everybody see what I'm gonna do. So in my mind at this point, I'm like, boom, I got the bases of the song down. I can start going through and trying to find instruments because I know the drums are gonna be pretty much the easiest part for me. I'm not, I'm gonna do my thing, but that's, getting the instrumentation down and kind of having it flow the same way the song does, but with different sounds that kind of sound similar but are not the same, just to kind of give it a newer R&B feel, is where it's going to take a while. I'll go through and find those things and start putting it together. But basically what I'm trying to say is, at this point, since I have those chords down, my basis is down, I can get everything that I need from this point. My melody, my layer, it's not really a counter melody on this, but it just basically gives you your blueprint for being able to build the song out and then arrange the song. So I also have the original track to go on to, which I'm probably going to use a lot of just for the sake of, I know someone's going to be writing to this. If they've already, I mean, I don't know, that person knows this song, he likes the song a lot, he's going to do something similar to this. We've done these works before, so just to explain to you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it in such a similar fashion to the original is because of the fact that I know that the way he's going to write to the song is going to be kind of in and out of the words of the original or the style of the original, and I want to make it easy for him to be able to flow to it and catch what I'm doing with what he associates with the original. So boom, I got my chord progression set. I got the sound that I want set for it. I'm gonna go ahead and render this so that I don't have to use that CPU usage. So we're gonna render and replace. And as you can see, since I got the let's one step at a time. I do keep this as a wave. Time. It is a string, so it's gonna be a little bit off in the attack area. I did actually adjust the attack a little bit in the original because I knew that it was gonna be back or off a little bit, a little bit of a delay in how the strings come in. That's just how the build up of the slow build up is on the string. Which I adjusted the attack right here. I didn't push it all the way up, which probably have helped, but it's okay because when you add instruments on top of that, you're not going to really be able to tell at that point. But just listening to it by itself, it is kind of weird. All right, so I'll let you hear how it sounds like if I put these. See, it works, so that works, but I wouldn't be using that piano because that's not what they use. So since I had those chords set up right there, I don't need this anymore. I can just use these. And so this is where we'll listen to the song and see what the next element will be that we'll add on, so I don't play these when I do that. The bass may be the easiest. The next part that'll be probably easiest for me to kind of just, so the video don't end up being so long. right, so I kind of got the bass. So what I did, you can't see my hands, but let me pull the notes up, and I'll probably still change the bass because it's not all the way there, but pull up the piano. Probably need to. I be lazy sometimes. Let me check what tune this is in. Whew, like that shit look crazy. Oh, so it's tuned to C. All right, so it just is, that's just how it sounds. I'll check that in Edison and I'll delete it so it doesn't stay in my mixer. But you just right click, open in audio editor, hit this and go down to detect pitch regions and it'll pull it up for you. I think that's so that's normally how the bass here and I'll record it. Hit the wrong part. Something like that. It's not perfect, but I wanted to show you something that I did when I was playing it initially that you wouldn't have been able to see because I'm not showing my hands. See, that usually comes in a little off. I didn't even have to do that. I could have just controlled A. I'm sorry. Control A, Control Q, Alt Q. Normally just push it back a little bit and then do it. And Alt Q, usually line it up a little bit better. So when I was playing it initially, because again, a lot of times people do things to kind of give a little bit of change to what a basic chord would be. It looks like what they did was they went, when you listen to it, instead of playing this D up here, they played it an octave down. Let's see if that is correct. Oh, keep starting it at the beginning. Keep it. Well, it's, you can't really hear, but it's gonna give mine a better vibe when I do it like that. So let's just another thing that I'm gonna do, it sounds kind of weird now, but I'm gonna get it straight for you guys so you can kind of see. I'm not gonna leave this in right here. I messed up. We can do that later.
I know you want me, girl, just like I want you. So stop running like you don't when you do. So if you're feeling nice,
Well, theirs does kind of go up, but oh well.
taking you for so long,
It's gonna be a new JetMuzik version, so we're gonna do it this way.
you should let me know what the deal. Been peeping out your vibe, and you wanna let me slide. So what you need to do,
And those extra notes, I can go back in and add those in.
I know you want me, girl, just like I want you.
And I'll always just track everything out.
Like you don't when you do.
Browser off. Now we can, let me see, let's see. I'm gonna do something. I've seen it done other places. You can do it. You don't have to. I don't like following rules. So something I noticed in a MIDI pack that I had picked up scrolling through that a certain, it doesn't matter who did it. I saw them stack their MIDI notes. All right, as you can see, that's one snap. So because of how that's hidden, I will double stack that note. You hear the difference? All right, now I want to do one without it. And so we're going to look at how much this affects. And so I'm going to do something. I just did it. I didn't care whether it affected my any phase issues or anything like that. So don't take this as professional pro tip or anything. This is what I do. That's the first one. Oh, let me separate them. A little bit further, just so they're not so close. -27. So get a little about a 7 dB increase. Now, one thing you need to know, what I do with all my beats, as you can see, is the fruity balancer on each of my tracks that I use. I didn't mean to do that. All my tracks, fruity balance. All of them are set to -16 dB. which allows me to keep things as far as how I like to gain stage or balance my mix in the same place every time when I use my instruments. When my kick hits, you're going to see my kick is going to be hitting around -6 to -3 dB. Everything is going to go in progression below that. And then I'll still be doing some adjustments, but I just wanted to show you how much effect that has, because you're going to see me doing it. This is not, again, professional. You don't have to do this. A lot of people don't do this, probably never seen this. They may not have even thought it was something you could do or would do, or it would mess up, or we're gonna see. Okay, so just watch. If it work, it work. If it don't, it don't. I like it, I'm using it. So boom, I stack my midis, or I guess you could say layer overlap, because I did. Now I will tell you this, the way I saw it done in that MIDI pack, it was more like this. Now you can try it this way as well. Listen to that. See, I don't do that because you can really hear a phase. You hear that phase? Yeah, see that I don't do. But again, it was in a MIDI pack like this. I have made a mistake and copy and paste it, like when you do the Control-Alt-CV, and then I accidentally just drop it back over there, and I've heard it be louder even with samples and stuff like that. So when I heard that, I was like, you're not supposed to do that. It's probably just because it's double, whatever. I don't know the technical side of it. It was louder. So when I saw that MIDI pack, I was like, well, shoot, I don't care. No artist is going to ask me why it sounds like that unless there's phase issues in the end, or there's an issue with the snare being distorted or anything like that. But like I said, we're going to see. So you see what I did? I have my snap, and it gives it a little bit more. It stands out a little bit more in the mix. So I will be adjusting levels, but I still am not mad at where the levels are with it. So we're going to keep it moving. Just my little explanation of that. Might be something that you can use, might not. What I do. So boom. I like that. Boom. All right. So now I'm going to just listen. I'm at the point where, like I said, I can catch a little groove with this. I know what the artist wants from this. I can just go ahead and just do what I want to do now. I don't really have to rely on the track as much, but it is, again, a few more elements. I have been taking my little sweet time with this and not just fixing the things I need to fix or adding the things I need to add before I start really messing around. I like to get the foundation out the way, the basis of what I was going to use, and then I can add the rest of the stuff that I want to do and arrange it, make the changes and stuff. So I'm going to get back to that. So, but I like how my 808 is. I'm kind of still don't know if I'm going to change it or not, but for now I'm going to mute it. I don't care about the clap necessarily or the strings, but we're going to see what the... So we got the 808 out the way, we got the string, sustained string out the way. Now it's this little high in the middle, in the intro, the verse of the track, where it's not as much going on. It's two elements. We already got one of those elements, so I'm gonna get the other element. What up? Different shirt, no hat, but we back. All right, so it took a couple of days for me to get my life together. I noticed that the first video was like an hour and a half already, and I hadn't really gotten anywhere with the beat. And so for the sake of time, I wanted to just go ahead and get some things knocked out, come back, record it over, or at least record, I guess what I call this second part of the video, where we just go through a little bit of the things that I did as far as the mixing. I'm not going through arrangement because I just used the song's arrangement because of what I said earlier. Excuse me. The artist is going to base this on the original, and so I want to keep it similar to that, or I kept it the same. But just to move forward, I'll let you hear what I've done, and then we can go back through and break everything down really quickly, see what I did as far as mixing, and boom. All right, here we go.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, so basically what I like to do is, or what I have done, or what I do on my templates, is I have a fruity balancer on each track. I think I went over that with y'all, but if I didn't, I have a fruity balancer on each track set to negative dB. That's basically how I start my gain stage. And then when I'm listening to my track, I'll go through, see what I like, what sounds I feel like are pushing too loud, which ones I want ducked. And so my kick, as you can see, is mono. My 808 is mono. My perks, I do a little bit of spread on those. My instruments, I took the spread or the merge of the stereo off here, because what I do is all of these tracks, all my instruments run into my instrument bus, where I have a compressor, SSL compressor, and wider. And I do about 62%, just based on what I heard and how much I wanted to push that. And so I can let you hear what that sounds like. Let's see.
That's fine.
Turn the compressor on. And this is only doing like a 2 dB hit. I'm not doing much with that. All right. Then of course my 808. I have a compressor on that as well. I cut all the lows out of that one, of course, for my 808, just to make space for all of my higher instruments. If you look at these, I cut all of the lows out of these, a majority of the lows out of each one of the instruments that I used. All the lows out, gotta go. Kick, I keep my highs in my kick. I do not side chain. I have side chain. I'm not saying don't side chain. That's something that I feel like is up to you if you feel like you need to do that. I feel like in this case I did need to do that. I like the way everything is sitting. I do feel the need to turn my hi-hats down. And a trick that I use or something that I do is everything that I do, I move at a 3 dB decibels. So my kick was -3. As you can see, my hi-hats, I moved to -6. You can round. It doesn't have to be specific to that, but 5.8, I feel like it's close to 6. I would even move it down to 6. I'm not tripping, but just how I do it. It gives me places where I can lock in, and if I want to turn it down or up more, I know what I did. I turned it up 3 dB or turned it down 3 dB. It's no guessing game, and the changes that I would have made in that, and where I can go back, as you can see, -15 dB on my perks because I didn't need them standing out a lot, and then I spreaded them out just so they would sit out a little bit wider. And we can listen to those.
That's fine.
My instrument, excuse me, my instrument effects, um, my tag, my those risers, everything goes in this section, and so I don't do a lot to those. I like to keep them. I don't add a compressor to those or anything. They sit pretty well where they are. Actually, I can turn it down a little bit because the riser is a little loud, and so like I said, I normally do. I don't make a lot of changes to my faders on my bus tracks because I feel like I have everything leveled pretty well here, and that keeps a lot of the additional changes, trying to remember what I did, what I didn't do down. I feel like once we get here, I'm just getting to the point where I want to just knock off the little pieces on the top, and the kind of balance out the loudness and kind of glue all the instruments together with those compressors here. And then on my master track, newly acquired black box, and I run that and I just tested it out. Basically what I do is I'll make adjustments, but I'll keep an eye on my meter to make sure I'm not peaking over -6 dB. If I want to push it, I'll show you how I feel like I can push it pretty well. So without black box on, let's see where we're sitting at. Now let's go to the All right, and that's pretty much a quick overview just to keep the video from not being so long of some of the steps that I take in order to compose a beat, I would say. Arrange the beat, especially when I'm remaking a beat for an artist that I know is going to go at it a particular type of way. And it just kind of helped with the process of if you are trying to learn certain things that are done or practice and you just don't know, what you want to practice, just find your favorite songs, throw them in your playlist and remake them. And just take your time, find the easiest thing, maybe the chords, find the chords. Of course, you're going to have to find the key, but finding those chords that you got to play, then coming up with, I guess, finding the next layer or whatever instrument. And I would start with the hook, and that way you could just piece through just listening to it and finding out, try to build it back up and see, it'll help you figure out what they did to make those beats, kind of help you figure out your workflow and some things that you can do to kind of make that a little bit better, kind of help you build a little workflow in the sense of start to finish what instruments you like to start with. If you like to start with the drums, if you like to start with the 808, if you like to start with the chords and the melody, all those different things, you can learn what works best for you by going through someone else's work that you like a lot and really kind of going through someone else's work and actually backwards engineering that piece and figuring out some things you can do to improve your game. So I hope you like it. Again, this is what I do. This is not a end all be all. If you have questions in reference to some of the things that I do, you don't see me doing a lot of EQing. I do a lot of my EQing here to save myself a plugin. But you know, when you use the stock FL with EQ, parametric EQ, it's not a bad EQ, pretty dope EQ to be honest with you. I don't mind using it because it gives you a visual of where your sound is, and I will cut everything around that sound and then pull it in and then pull it back out and just kind of get a little bit of a feel, because then what you remember when you're getting color from your compressors or you're adding saturation, it's going to add some of that low end harmonics back into your sound. So don't be afraid to do a little bit of cutting to make room for your 808 and your kick to be able to play through and add some of those lower end harmonics back to your sounds by using saturation and even distortion. You can use distortion to add a little bit more low end to your, or low end harmonics to your sounds, your melodies, and your chords. So I hope that helps. And as time goes on, where I can make beats from scratch and show you this process again, you'll start to see again how I flow. The same mixing process. That way you can kind of get an idea of why I do what I do, how I keep my sound the same. And then this is another way for you to figure out your sound and how you want your sound to be as far as your mix. That way, when you're making your beats, when people hear them, they're going to hear that sound, they're going to hear that mix, and I'll be like, oh, I know whose beat that is. I definitely can tell that. So definitely stay up. Definitely remember my slogan, my motto, my creed, I guess, is impress yourself. Don't worry about what nobody else say, what no other producer say. If you like the way it sound, if you find an artist that can rock with your sound, keep doing that. Keep getting better every day. Keep measuring yourself based on how much you did the day before. And that's all I'm gonna say. We out. That was weak, but I'm gonna figure it out. But I'm gonna keep this Jet gang, FL gang. I don't know. We out.
That's fine.
Shout out to the fam, Blau 13. Yo, y'all go check them out at Blau X.
That's flight.
I.